Good morning. We are coming to a close of our 30 wise sayings today. We're still going to be in the book of Proverbs next week. Got a few more chapters to go there. But we are ending our time looking at Solomon's top 30. His 30 best wise sayings that he sort of grouped together as he was writing these things down. We've got 6 left to round out our 30 wise sayings. These 6 are some of the most important bits of information, I think, as sort of Solomon winds down that he's giving to his sons. Remember, that's the context here, and context here matters. That these things are written to his sons, written to the future leaders of Israel, of the people. And he's hoping that when he's gone, that they remember these wise sayings, they remember his words that he's had written down, so that they will be successful in leading the people. Let's look at our last 6 of our 30 wise sayings. Proverbs 24, verses 10, 11, and 12 say this: "If you falter in a time of trouble, how small is your strength? Rescue those being led away to death, hold back those staggering toward slaughter. If you say, 'But we knew nothing about this,' does not he who weighs the heart perceive it? Does not he who guards your life know it? Will he not pay everyone according to what they have done?" Sometimes the pressure of wanting to fit in this life is a difficult one. When everyone is saying one thing or doing one thing, it can be hard to be the voice, to be the person doing the opposite of that. Solomon makes the case here, though, that in order for us to hold firm to our faith, we need to do just that. When we see injustice, when we see someone suffering at the hands of others, and we have the ability to speak, to step forward and say, "Hey, we shouldn't treat that person this way," or "Hey, we shouldn't be doing that," or "Hey, we as a society need to look at how we're treating these people because we're not treating them correctly." If we have the ability to say and do those things, then we have the responsibility as part of our faith to stand up and defend people who need to be defended. We can't use the excuse that it's not my fight. We can't use the excuse, I didn't really know what was happening. Something was happening over there. They were making fun of that person, or they were beating on that person, or that person was getting fired for something that I don't think he really did. We can't use those kind of excuses because Solomon says God is going to look at our hearts. There's nothing that can be hidden from the eyes of God. And so, because of that, he will weigh us according to how we reacted in those situations. And so he calls us to defend those who need to be defended, to stand up and help those who need help, even if it's unpopular and even if we're standing alone. Proverbs 24, verses 13 and 14. "Eat honey, my son, for it is good. Honey from the comb is sweet to your taste. Know also that wisdom is like honey to you. If you find it, there's future hope for you, and your hope will not be cut off." You're using this phrase that wisdom is like honey on the lips. It's sweet to taste, and it brings you hope for the future. Honey is this really great thing. I love honey. I put honey in my coffee when I drink coffee in the mornings. It's this natural sweetener. It's got some supposed health benefits to it, but that's neither here nor there. And what Solomon is saying, though, is wisdom is like honey. It sweetens your life, brings a little sweetness into your life. Coffee can sometimes be bitter, and I like straight black coffee just as much as the next person. I'll drink straight black coffee all the time. But every once in a while, you want that sweetness, right? You want something a little bit on the sweeter side. And honey's great for that. And what Solomon is saying is wisdom is like that. It's honey on the lips. It's sweet. It brings hope. It rejuvenates you. When we find wisdom, when we've been looking for wisdom and we finally find it, oh, it's so sweet to finally understand what we've been called to do, how we've been called to live, and how we've been called to treat people and handle things. Proverbs 24, verses 15 and 16. "Do not lurk like a thief near the house of the righteous. Do not plunder their dwelling place. For though the righteous fall 7 times, they rise again. But the wicked stumble when calamity strikes. This can be taken as a warning from stealing from righteous people or messing with righteous people. But I like to look at this passage from the perspective of the righteous person. This passage is warning other people to avoid those of us who are righteous, or I would say trying to be righteous. Why? Because those of us who are righteous, when storms come, those of us who are trying to be righteous, who are trying to follow God, who are trying to do the things He's called us to do, when storms come, when thieves arise, when we lose everything, even if we were to lose all of our worldly goods, if a thief was to come in my house tonight while we're all sleeping and get away with stealing everything in my house and not waking us up or anything like that, and if I were to lose everything, I still have hope. I still have hope in the future. I still have faith in God. And those things would cause me to get up, get back to work, and rebuild what I've lost. You can't defeat a righteous person completely. Someone who's seeking to follow God, because you can't take everything from them. Righteous people, we always have hope. Followers of Jesus, we always have hope. If we have nothing else, if tomorrow a tornado comes and wipes away my house, takes away the church and my job and everything, I still have hope. I still have faith that there's a God in heaven who loves me and that wants what's best for me. And one day I'm going to get to see Him face to face in heaven. And it's not the same with wicked people. See, when wicked people, when they lose stuff, when calamity strikes them, when problems arise for them, and they don't have any hope, it can be really bad. Living without hope, living when you've lost everything you put your hope in, everything that was fleeting, can be bad. It can leave you in a really dark place. So if you have to choose to follow God. Choose faith, choose righteousness, because in those things we have hope. And hope, nobody can take hope from you. Proverbs 24:17-18. Do not gloat when your enemy falls. When they stumble, do not let your heart rejoice, or the Lord will see and disapprove and turn His wrath away from them. This is a hard one. You ever had somebody in your life that you don't like? Somebody, a really annoying person at work, or when you were in school who just drove you crazy all the time, and you would watch them and they would do something, or they would fall, or they would get in trouble for something, and your first reaction was, they deserved it, right? Oh, that bad thing happened to that person, but it's okay because he was terrible. He deserved it. Solomon is saying, don't do that. Don't be that guy. Remain humble. The only time our hearts should rejoice in something that happens to our enemy or the annoying person or somebody we don't like, the only time rejoicing should come in our hearts for those people is when they repent and find Jesus, is in their salvation. The only time we should rejoice in something that happens to somebody we don't like should be if Jesus comes into their life. We don't rejoice when bad things happen to them. We shouldn't rejoice when they get sick, or if they get injured, or if they get fired. We should rejoice when they find what really matters, Jesus. Because when they find Jesus, we can repair the relationship. We can mend fences. Our job should be to pray for them, to hope for one day that they come to find Jesus and experience His grace and His forgiveness. Proverbs 24, verses 19 and 20. Do not fret because of evildoers, or be envious of the wicked, for the evildoer has no hope, and the lamp for the wicked will be snuffed out. It's along the same lines as the last one. Don't worry about evildoers. They're going to do evil. Wicked people, they're going to be wicked. Don't waste your time worrying about what they're going to do or how they're going to treat you, because they are acting out of their lack of hope. They have no hope for the future, and so they act out of that. See, what we need to worry, we don't need to worry about how they're going to treat us. Instead, we need to be praying for them to find Jesus, to find hope, to find forgiveness and healing. It's so hard to do, but over and over again in the New Testament, Jesus calls on us not to return an eye for an eye, not to get somebody back, but to pray for those who persecute us. Jesus on the cross, he's been beaten, he's been whipped, he's been nailed hand and foot to a cross. And does he call down curses from heaven on all the Romans? Be like, because you've done this to me, and all the Jews, because you've done this to me, you're all in trouble, you're all punished. No, what's Jesus' words on the cross? Father, forgive them, because they don't know what they're doing. And we're called to do the same thing. To when people treat us badly, when evil people treat us like evil people treat people, we pray for them. We ask God to heal their hearts, to change their minds, and to give them hope and to give them forgiveness. It's hard to do, but it's wise to do it. Proverbs 24, verse 22, or 21 and 22. Fear the Lord, the king, my son, and do not join with rebellious officials. For those two will send sudden destruction on them, and who knows what calamities they shall bring. It's one of the hardest. The last of the 30 wise sayings: fear the Lord and do not listen to rebellious officials. It's a tough one, knowing what we know about Solomon's children. Solomon's son, Rehoboam, is going to become king when Solomon dies. Rehoboam would have heard this advice. Solomon was writing this to him. And Rehoboam, upon getting the throne, does the exact opposite of this. See in the story, Solomon dies, Rehoboam comes to the throne, and Solomon's advisors are still there. And Rehoboam, he wants to know how he needs to handle the people, how he treats them to make sure to kind of secure his reign. And Solomon's advisors, full of the wisdom of Solomon, go up to him and be like, treat the people nicely. Be kind to the people. Give them back what they need. Give them out of your excess. Defend them, protect them, make sure they're prospering. Because if you do that, you're going to have their loyalty. And they'll love you forever and they'll die for you. So Rehoboam listens to this advice, and then he goes and he finds his friends. The young people, he seeks their advice. And they're like, you're the king. Put a heavy tax burden on them. Double your father's taxes. On top of that, put a heavy workload on the people because they can't rebel if they're too tired from working all day. And Rehoboam, he's given these options, these two ways to go. And he chooses to listen to his friends. And he dismisses his father's advice, their wise counsel, which is what this verse is. Fear the Lord. Follow the wisdom of the Lord. Don't get involved with rebellious officials. And this has huge implications. Because out of this, the nation splits. There's civil war, there's division. Jeroboam comes in, takes the northern half of the kingdom, and makes it Israel. And Rehoboam is left of king of just Judah, Benjamin, and Simeon. Half of his kingdom is gone because of his rebellious attitude. Because he didn't fear the Lord. And he didn't trust the right advisors. And ultimately, it leads to the absolute destruction of the people. The people eventually, way down the line, follow their kings and their leaders, follow in the line of Rehoboam one too many times. And all of Israel is taken into captivity. And all of Judah is taken into captivity in Babylon for 70 years. Because Rehoboam refused to follow God. Because he refused the wisdom of Solomon when Solomon said, fear the Lord and don't put your trust in rebellious advisors. Let this be a lesson for us today. To always be seeking the wisdom of God, the wisdom of Solomon. To follow as he is leading. To do the wise things, to do the things that he has called us to do. To be wise in the ways of the Lord and to set our hearts and our lives on things of the kingdom of heaven. And put our hope in that. Have a great rest of the week.